And we are back after a short break. I've got some teriyaki jerky and some nuts I'm going to be chomping on. Make sure I stay hydrated with some nice carbonated water. My friends, I hope you're staying hydrated as well. Talking a little bit about
Oh, yeah.
the weather that may be
Yeah.
going through their area. So, in addition to the technology gremlins, those little imps that like to play tricks with our internet connections and bouncing us off of servers, now we've got the weather um, elementals to deal with as well. Now, never a dull moment, as they say. I do adhere to that. Um, Dropped a Benny into Ava's tray. You all are pretty well stocked. Those of you that
Oh,
are not familiar, I'm sorry, Shep?
oh, I was just going to say I forgot to mention earlier. Shep would have brought the stuff, the
Ritual stuff?
the ritual stuff.
Oh, from
He would have,
Guatemala?
yeah, he would have packed all of that just in case we need it,
That's fair.
especially that darkness one.
I have I have the stuff for the the honey and the eyeball.
Yeah.
I still have that in my bag. I still have
Okay.
the little golden honey bear in my book bag.
That's right. I think you put some gorilla tape around the tip just to make sure the little tip of the little bear-shaped honey dispenser didn't accidentally fall off and,
Right.
shall we say, sweeten the contents of your book bag.
And she has like a laptop or whatever in her bag, a Game Boy. No, can't be messing that up with some honey. She's got some intense Pokemon gaming to do on her Game Boy.
That's right. And here's just an example of some of the artwork that my players provide me with. This is the study group, and the three individuals in the center are the three that are playing. We have Mir off to the left. He has recently come out on the positive end of surgery on his leg, which means when I create his character, he's going to lose the what's the hindrance he has? Lame hindrance, I think.
Yeah.
But he's still going to keep Rocco, his good boy, spelled BOI, his good boy, his service dog. And on the other end is the very shenanigany rodeo queen pre-med student Erica in her trademark chaps. And these two on the left and the right make pretty recent guest appearances as the five plus the doggo do live together in a rental home off campus of East Texas University in Pine Box. Just wanted to display those. I know I talk about them, but there's something nice about just seeing them, just being able to visualize what it is that crazy Eric is talking about. He mentioned some of these little bits of art. So, with that said, Benny and Trey, students in front of the R.E. Lee building. Shep, I would like a spirit roll.
Okay.
I'll have to share my work in progress.
There's a 9.
Trying to think if there's some way I can leverage your curse, but you're not really dealing with anybody just yet. Hold that thought. A success with a raise. Those of you that aren't familiar with Savage Worlds, um, I'll just basically explain a little bit about bennies or benefits. A benny is, in some way, you can think of it as the coin of the realm of Savage Worlds. Everybody starts with a couple. I give them out for good role playing, solving a problem, hitting a certain spot where they player or players just put together two or three pieces that I've given them, like a puzzle, and make that connection, make that leap forward for imaginative use of their hindrances or their edges, or just just giving me a good time, for letting me enjoy the fruits of my labor, bouncing off of them, making me laugh, making me chuckle or chortle a little bit. So a Benny is a coin of the realm. You can burn a Benny. It has some game system capabilities that lets you automatically remove a status called shaken. You can use a Benny if there's a roll that you had hoped to make, but you failed. You didn't hit that target number, whether it was 4 or some other number. You can certainly burn a Benny and get a reroll, and hopefully get a better roll on the retry. You can use the Benny in an imaginative way. You can use a Benny to sort of influence the game a little bit. There's something you really want. Let's say you really, really want a fire axe, or you really, really want a fire extinguisher, and you're in one of these buildings, let's say. And this is a way that one of the players burned a Benny early on. It says, Dean, I'd really like there to be a fire axe. Say you want a weapon, and it would make sense that there'd be one somewhere. I say, well, give me a Benny, and we'll make it so. And if they want to burn a Benny and there's something they really want, they can influence the game in some small way by equipping themselves with something that may or may not have been present or easy to acquire. With a Benny, you can also change your spot in the initiative order by drawing a new card. Sometimes you really want to go before one of the adversaries. A Benny will give you a chance. It's not a guarantee. It'll give you a chance to bump yourself up a couple slots. Sophia, let's just quickly recap the fact that you did a bit of artwork for the anthropology and archaeology department. And I didn't want to forget to mention that, so better late than never. Did a very nice job putting together a mural that covers a broad expanse of walls between the entrance to this somewhat dark and dismal building to the very first office door. A mural that shows the great lizards walking the earth, munching on large ferns and tiny scenes sort of around the border, is how I see it, of archaeologists doing their thing, either doing an archaeological dig or identifying an ancient language on a stone tablet, say. And if you look really carefully, each of the members of the 5 members of the study group and Rocco appear in these little sort of inset drawings of things that are related to the archaeology department, of which Professor Glenn McClanahan, or Glenn Mack, is the current chair. So I did want to just quickly mention that, as it may come in play later. If nothing else, you really did dress up that building, and the illustrations are quite nice, quite colorful, accurate. No doubt did some research and really got the sort of the proportions of the bodies of these great lizards just right. And the one that's a leaf eater is eating the leaves. The scrapper carnivorous one is probably gulping down a smaller dinosaur for its sustenance. So with that said, I saw a 9. Wow. Nice spirit roll. That's a success with a raise. A 4 would have been a success. Add another 4 would have been an 8. So an 8, 9, or a 10. I'm sorry. A 9, 10, or an 11. An 8, 9, 10, or an 11 is a success with a raise, adding 4. So not only a success, but a pretty good success. Your Tante appears beside you. You feel that warm glow, almost as if you took a shot of a very smooth bourbon or a sipping whiskey. You feel that warm glow emanate through your body, a comforting glow, and you turn and there is your Tante, the spirit of your deceased great aunt, or perhaps even one more generation removed than that. And she is looking at you. She's a dark complected um, woman of Jamaican, Caribbean, island heritage. Her eyes are wide, and she says, Mon petit chou, which is what she calls you. Um, Loosely interpreted, it means my little sweet roll, or my little sweet pastry, or something like that. Oh, mon petit chou. Bad spirits here. Bad spirits. I sense the veil between your world and mine is very weak here. I feel restless spirits. I feel spirits with a yearning to cross mon petit chou. Use caution. And she's still there. She didn't vanish. She seems to be looking at, if you were looking at a beehive and there were bees flying around it, that's kind of how she's looking at this building. She looks up to she looks up to her left and sort of gestures with a outstretched fingertip and seems to be following the track of something that is flying or rotating around the building, something that's flying high to low, something that gets a little bit too close and she startles back a half step. Then she looks at you and shakes her head.
I look at the girls and I go, well, it looks like if we're going to be Ghostbusters.
Dun, 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 dun.
Again?
Oh,
Uh,
oh.
apparently, this time the the plane of the dead is very close. The spirit world is convergent.
Oh, oh my.
Yeah, this is not going to be fun. I don't
A-
think.
Ava,
One of
did you bring your rest of your salt bombs?
I have my salt bombs. They didn't take away my salt bombs. That my slingshot, I still have that too. I I would hope that I could practice and become a better shot, but we'll find out, I guess.
one of the third floor windows in the front of the building, the light goes out. It goes dark.
Okay, well, I guess it's time to go and do our lab work.
Shep, with a raise, I will also give you, even though you have not crossed the lintel of the front doors to enter this building, you're hearing whispers. You can't understand what they're saying, but you do hear whispers, just very faintly.
Oh boy.
Oh, this really makes me want to take that other edge.
Well, Shep mentioning trying to pass off like we're going inside to do a lab.
Yeah.
I'm down for that. Yeah, lab.
You are ETU students. You have
Students,
your
and we belong here.
yes. Why not? You have as much of a right as anyone going in or out of this building at this time. It's not locked down. It is open for all. Anyone could have any excuse for going in there, dropping off study materials, returning study materials, seeing if your grade is posted outside one of the classrooms. Perhaps you left a jacket or a similar piece of clothing, and you're hoping that it's in one of the classrooms. At least if the door's locked, you might be able to peek in and see that it is safely kept for you, or perhaps left on a coat hook or something like that. There are any number of reasons where a student possessing an ETU student ID card to enter this, or you're just walking across campus and you remember that the first floor uh, convenience soda machine has frescas, always ice cold, and you might want to pop in a quarter or 50 cents and get yourself one.
Sounds good.
Don't
So
worry, Sophie. You can.
Yeah.
We'll help you study while we're doing our lab.
Is this building also the building where that Sonia library assistant is in?
no,
Okay.
that is the library. That is the building I showed you that's open 24/7.
Okay.
Okay, Ava, I'm trying to remember.
Hmm?
Were we supposed to go to her before we went here to find more
I
answers?
That's what I was wondering because I was like, we only know what so far Tante has noticed that you have relayed to us.
Yeah.
And since you noticed something, I think Ava would have definitely tried to. She's a freaking research nerd. She's gonna want to go and research things about this building and maybe what may have happened that could connect to the vision you had. So I think the library is a good first shot to go to,
uh,
especially if it's open all day.
and didn't the professor tell us that she would
This
have more answers than he did?
she could have more answers, yeah. Because I remember writing it down, and I wrote down she's a library assistant, but that was it after the whole Glen Mac talk. So he mentioned her. We should go see her.
You go over to the Sam Rayburn Library. It is not far. In fact, it's right across one of the small streets that bisects the campus. It's a large building. You walk in and you go down to the basement. You see Millie, Ava. Millie is that Hispanic immigrant whose English is very broken, although she tries very hard. And in fact, you provided her an opportunity to do some interpreting during her interview, and she ended up getting a job in the library, replacing books, organizing, sorting, something in that discipline. And she waves at you and smiles. I imagine one of her sort of top teeth on the side is darker than the others, as if maybe the root is dead. And she's got somewhat of a just a slightly like pockmarked complexion. It looks like she's lived some hard years, perhaps in the country from which she emigrated. And you can tell me what country that is if you like, or I'll just choose one.
Oh, let's see. Maybe she's. Let's jump over Mexico and say Guatemala.
Perfect.
Another Spanish country that she could they could just relate and speak on
I was going to say
Spanish
El
terms.
Salvador, so that's a country right on the border of
More
Guatemala.
central to southern works out. So
She comes over and
say hello.
she starts talking to you in broken English. This is remarkable because usually all of your discourse with her has been in her dialect of Spanish.
Yeah, so much better. Like
Ava,
I will.
small one, good to see you. How did your, and she thinks a minute, how did your test go?
Ah, I think I did mediocrely. Not as good as I would have liked.
Okay, that she
I pass.
understands. She says, you pass, yes.
I pass, but can do better.
She smiles and nods. Always can do better.
Always can do better.
She looks around the high shelves, the expanse of sort of maze-like corridors and says, "Quiet now. Was very busy." She's pushing like a little trolley with books stacked on it. We'll say she's in the
Oh,
history section, history books.
that makes sense if midterms just ended.
Some students good leave books on table. Other students bad put them back wrong place.
Oh, no bueno. No bueno, señora. Oh, I will introduce Sophia and Shep. My friends.
She goes up and she gives each of you a hug and a kiss on both cheeks.
Senora Millie.
Hi.
She's a very nice lady, and she is very helpful in the library. She doesn't speak a lot of English, but she's getting better.
She is. She is. She really is. And she points at Ava and says, "Ava's friend, my friend."
Shep's cheeks are beet red from the kisses.
Why here?
Ah, looking for another senora. Her name is Sonia Alvarez. Do you know her? Where can I find her?
Wow. I gave her a D4 common knowledge,
Hmm.
and she rolls 7 on a D4.
Yay!
Dice that
Nice.
ace are nice. She goes, "Ah, pretty. Hair blanco."
Oh, white-haired, pretty lady.
Uh, uh, she starts to say it in Spanish, and then she says, "Rojo, red," and she makes sort of that raccoon eyes gesture, like for spectacles. Rojo.
Ah, gonna tap at her own glasses. Rojo. Okay, cool.
I think that's red. I'm trying to remember my Dora the Explorer. Sadly.
You're doing just fine. You're good.
I
Rojo.
could program in over 20 computer languages, but I never learned a foreign
Blanco is
language. So
definitely white. So white-haired, pretty lady with red glasses is what we're looking for. Um, where do you know where she is normally?
she points,
Downstairs.
gesturing downstairs.
Okay. Thank you, Senora Millie.
Yeah.
I appreciate your help.
Miss Senora Sonia, not here?
No.
Late.
Oh.
And she's not wearing a watch, but she sort of taps her wrist in a watch-like manner.
Oh, she's not here yet. Ah. Hmm. Do you know where she could be, or where she comes from to get here?
No, no, no.
Ah. Huh. All right. So we have a description of the lady who we're looking for, but she's not here yet. Okay.
Well,
Well,
yet is the wrong word. Still would be the right word.
she's still not here.
Yeah.
Oh, so when was the
Or
last
she's
time
not
she?
she's not still here.
Yeah.
Um, I not know today, yesterday. She
Ah.
hides. And she points downstairs.
Okay. Um. Is is downstairs still open, even if she's not there? Can we go downstairs to study?
She shrugs. Not closed.
Okay. Yay. We can go down there and study then and do our research. Maybe she will come. Uh,
She kisses you on both cheeks, and she pinches Sophia, Sophia and Shep's cheek.
I love it. I love it, little old Latin lady. All right. Muchas gracias, Senora Millie.
De nada.
Yeah. See, you got it.
More Dora, I'm afraid.
Your work.
Hey, it does the job.
Millie knows where all the maps are.
So, okay, cool. So downstairs is open. We know who we're looking for as far as a description. And oh, is Senora Millie going to be here? Is she working like the night shift or is she leaving soon? Because it's 24/7, so I don't know.
Yeah, she's sort of working a second shift.
Okay.
That allows the books to pile up during the course of the regular students' workday, and then she'll be one of the people that are putting them back on the shelves and doing other sort of organizational jobs, tasks.
Okay, cool. I will give her a hug back and wish her well and tell her that we're going downstairs to do some research and studying. Um, if you need me for anything, we'll be there for a while.
What are you wearing? What are you wearing up top, Ava?
Up top, I mean, she's usually wearing like a gamer t-shirt, but with the big old floppy jacket. Clearly, like a boy's jacket that's not meant for her.
She reaches out and rubs the fabric of your sweatshirt between her thumb and forefinger and says, "Is good. Cold."
Ah, oh, good. I don't often leave without the jacket. Comfortable.
She looks at Shep
Yeah.
and Sophia and says, "Cold," and she nods as though she is giving great thought to this.
Yeah. Shep's
You
got
have a jacket.
Shep's got probably the last jacket that hasn't been overtaken.
Hasn't been pilfered by Ava's laundry ransacking, probably. Be like, ah, yes, laundry. I'll just take another jacket.
He knows better. He knows to hide the jackets when Ava's doing laundry. Let's put it that way.
It's like, all right, it's Ava's turn to do laundry. Why am I missing another shirt?
She says,
And
"Young man, is your paramour?"
that's funny.
Okay, Chef's lit up like a Christmas light.
Sophia just nods.
She nods back at Sophia and says,
Like,
No secret. I see."
stumbling over words.
In Shep's mind, he's already plotting. He's like, Larry is going to get some help.
Hey,
And although, Shep, you're one step below on the reaction table for this game session, um, Ava
Mhm.
and Millie have such a stellar relationship that kind of rubs off to a degree on you. So I'm not going to make her instantly dislike you. Um, but she
Yeah.
does seem to be very interested in Ava's love life, as it were,
Of course
and
she
is
is.
and is very convinced that,
Uh,
as the old song from the '80s goes, "I know there's something going on."
Leave it to the old Hispanic grandma to question your love life and ask you when you're having kids all the time. It's like, damn, you jumped to kids already. There isn't even any marriage talk. No,
oh,
nothing. Like,
I'm sure as you walk away, she winks at you and says, "Use protection."
dead. gonna grab a hand of whoever's closest to me, and we're like, "Yep, it's time to go study, friends."
Why'd you grab my hand, Ava?
Thank you, Senor
Okay.
Millie. We're gonna just run. Oh, we run.
Down in the
She was
basement.
so nice.
Down in the basement is quite cold. It's chilly. You're below ground level, and those bricks keep it nice and cool and
Oh man.
reasonably dry. You go down a set of steps, and it doesn't take long. Right, you hit a kind of a nexus, a crossing, an intersection of hallways. And in this hallway, the area has been sort of widened out a little bit to leave room for some overstuffed love seats and sofas and chairs and some tables and, of course, the snack machine and the soda machine. And sure enough, not far from there, you see two large glass doors over which is stenciled "Special Reserves." And underneath that, just in a font 1 point smaller, Sonia Alvarez. These glass doors are not the kind of glass doors that you can see through. Rather, these are glass doors that have been textured, kind of like a shower door might be. Frosted glass, and if you look, it looks like many, many like little chips of circles that interlink and make it so that if someone was on the other side of that door and the light was on, you could see a dim outline of them. You could see them, say, if they picked up their arm and waved it. But making out any sort of detail would be impossible. Two vertical handles, very stout, polished brass, one on each door, as if they would both pull open like double doors.
Is anybody else down here besides us?
No.
Okay. We're solo, friends. And it really is cold. Geez, gonna zip up this massive jacket.
You would think that if it was a week ago, probably many of these sofas, loved seats, overstuffed chairs would probably be occupied. Perhaps by someone sitting upstairs that wanted a little more quiet, a little more privacy. You came down here. You'd want to wear just a light, sweatshirt, a sweater, a light jacket, just something. You're moving around, so no worries, but it is cool down here.
Okay.
Doesn't seem to be anybody else about. Not a lot of traffic, so the janitors tend to come down here. And every couple of days, they'll damp mop, and probably every day they'll come in and replace the toilet tissue and soap dispensers, fill them up and stuff like that.
Are there security cameras down here?
Ava, can you boost your volume a little bit?
Oh, sorry. I should probably just bring this closer to me. Hello.
That's the engineering solution.
Oh God! Oh no! Too loud now.
I'm so sorry.
I upped your volume earlier, and I have to bring it back down.
I'm sorry. I fixed my problem.
Death by Dean.
Deafened by the dean.
Oh God!
I'm sorry. Are
Okay.
there cameras down here? Like security cameras or something?
Make a notice roll.
Notice roll. Weird. Oh, there.
Wow. On a 10-sided die, you rolled an 11. Well done. Yes, there is seems to be a video camera, like a live feed. It's oriented more towards the four-way intersection. You imagine as you go down either of those 4 hallways, you would probably vanish from sight pretty quickly. Pretty quickly. Doesn't seem to be an extraordinarily modern or, you know, powerful device.
And are they aimed at the glass doors? Any of them? Would
You
I
th-
be able to notice?
you think the camera could catch the glass door at the very edge of its periphery?
Mm, okay. So, if that
Planning to
area,
do something we shouldn't be doing.
I don't know because I'm assuming that what we need to find out, or at least learn a little more about what we're dealing with, might be past the glass. But I'm not super sure. Maybe, maybe we should see if we can't find anything uh, about ship's vision, like like electrical engineering work that happened, any accidents that happened within that building uh first around here before we go snooping where we probably shouldn't go. I don't know, is that a fair assessment maybe? Okay.
Shep would like not to get the cops called on us in the
uh,
school.
I don't want to do anything bad.
You
Like,
think the lights are out inside the special reserves area. You think if the light was on, you could tell by looking through this frosted uh, glass.
mhm. The Okay, but in the area that we are in now, it's it's okay, and there's nothing like there isn't a separation because the beyond the glass doors, I imagine is more of like employees only because it has Sonia's name on it.
She's probably
that that
she's probably
makes
she's the department chief,
yeah.
and as such is of a sufficient level of importance to have her name emblazoned above the door.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see what we can find here first. And then if we can't find information here, then maybe we should brave the glass doors just in case. Just in case. That is if she doesn't come before then.
If she works a regular 9 to 5 schedule, you don't think she'll be back until tomorrow morning.
Oh, she's gone already then. Okay. Guys, I think we're being encouraged to go snooping.
Um,
That's fine.
well, Shep would also say that some of the knowledge may just be her knowledge. It may not be something that research that she has written down.
uh maybe.
Because, like, we asked um, Glenn Mack if what he knew, and he referred us to her.
Oh, well, do you think then instead of trying to go around doing stuff tonight, we should try and talk to her during our break hours between classes and then go
I
the
think
evening?
so, because the thing with Glenn Mack was not didn't as far as I understood it, it didn't have like a, you have to be here and do this today.
Yeah.
So I think
Maybe.
a little bit of research will do us good, especially if there's a lot of
In most
um,
cases, that's true. In this case, especially with the emphasis that Tante placed upon what was going on here, you think there is more of an air of immediacy, more of an urge to do something tonight.
uh, okay.
Urgency. Tante seems worried.
I mean, and in truth, and I will be completely transparent,
Hmm.
I'm struggling to remember what Glenn Mack was thinking when he told you about Sonia Alvarez. If it was related to the R.E. Lee building, I don't think it was. I think
I
it might
think,
have been related to something else. I'd have to rewatch
yeah,
last
I don't
episode.
100% remember. It was either about the shade or about,
I think you were trying to find. You, you had the skeletal framework of certain rituals that you had come across.
yeah,
And between the three of you, you tried to piece together as much as you could. I'm inclined to say that Sonia may have been able to help you fill in some of the missing pieces and, in game mechanic terms, completely write down or acquire those rituals, the text of the
yeah,
ritual components, any descriptive text that might come with it. I think that may be why he wanted you to talk to Sonia. And then you went and talked to Abuela,
yeah,
which was even better.
yeah, because I
Because
just went straight to the
those were
mentor.
spells she definitely knew.
Okay, so that makes sense then. But I wonder, Ava, would this part of the library have any blueprints or other information about the building that we're going to, such as certain places that might,
Like
uh,
mark off old areas,
yes,
blueprints from like 50 years ago. Let's find
mm-hmm,
out. I will research the heck out of this library and find if there's a blueprint for that particular building, that, and then reference it to our modern map and see if there's any discrepancies so that we can find something that stands out for us to go check
yeah,
out first.
since we're here already.
Yeah.
Let me have a research roll.
Uh,
Would anyone like to support that effort?
Can
If
I
so,
support
how?
if it's unskilled? Or I
Certainly.
have,
Certainly.
I don't, I've got,
we're
I do
going
have
what,
electronics.
Okay.
full on.
I will
I
say that
support my own research.
some of the buildings where you attend classes or find yourselves exploring during the course of your day, some of them have really lousy internet, lousy
Mhm.
wireless internet. This library is quite different in that you've got a strong signal.
Okay, so I can support her in that. Do I do a roll?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Don't crit fail. Oh,
I'm going to
oh,
Benny that, and I'll keep that one.
okay. Sophia, any interest in supporting?
Can I support with my own research?
Absolutely, you
Oh,
can.
research,
Absolutely.
research with me. Oh,
Nope.
The exact one.
oh no!
A 3 is a failure. Similarly, a 2 is a failure.
Like, ooh, this.
Stop right there.
You tried so hard.
Sophia, you get so excited at what Shep was
Yeah.
getting ready to research, you knock his phone out of his hand. It lands on its corner, and the screen cracks, and it seems to be powered off or shut down or just stopped working.
Luckily, I borrowed that one from Mirror. Shep is poor.
Chip is poor. Oh, oh boy. All right. Well, my
Shep.
research roll.
I'll have to tell Mir sorry when I see him too.
So the -1 for Sophia's critical failure and the +1 from
Yeah.
Shep we'll cancel, and this will
Hello.
be a research role for Ava, straight up.
All right. Yes.
See, you
So,
didn't even need us.
what was that? A D8, and you rolled a 12. Very good, very good. What strikes you the most about the Robert E. Lee Engineering and Applied Sciences building is the lack of not information, but the lack of activity or odd behavior surrounding this particular building. Whereas almost any building on campus, if you researched, you'd find a ghost story, a haunting in a certain room, something strange that happened in the distant or not so distant future. An odd legend about the individual whose likeness is emblazoned upon a bust or a bas relief or a statue. None of that occurs. This is if you want to call it a dull and boring building, you're not wrong. It really doesn't seem to be that much about it. You get the full map of it. It hasn't changed much since it was built in 1937, other than repairing cracks in the foundation, maybe a freshening coat of paint. Um, but yeah, what strikes you is the lack of anything that really grabs your interest.
Okay.
It's dull.
That's suspicious.
Boy, you'd think there'd be a ghost of Robert E. Lee riding, headless down the hallway on a horse, brandishing his saber or something. No, pretty dull.
Guys, the building is quiet. Too quiet. After all of these other things inside of this school, this one building is the only one that doesn't seem to have much going for it. And that doesn't seem right because Shep's Tante said there's some weird spiritual thing going on, like he said. So, these papers are lying to me. We gotta, I don't know, these things not doing so much. As she eyes the glass doors.
You're quite certain that there's a lot of hijinks and shenanigans going on at the Robert E. Lee Center, and somebody must have went and just pruned all the data that's available.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to gotta go into. Oh,
You do come across a picture of Sonia Alvarez. She's younger than you expected. Millie didn't indicate that she was just a, not your age, but not that much older. Not that much older. Senior grad student or maybe young doctoral thesis studies.
wow. Senora Millie said white hair, and I thought that she was an older lady.
I've got to play the linguistic barrier for all it's worth.
Hmm. Well, she certainly likes.
Red
Shep just says she kind of
glasses.
looks like Sally Jesse Raphael.
Okay. So I'm assuming this is like a picture of her, like up on the wall, just stating who she is, like they normally have in like a school. Like, here's your chief of department, blah 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 blah.
Sure, you find a picture online, and then you realize that in the entrance to the library there is a list of notables, a who's who from each department. And since this is a library, we'll say there are pictures of each department head, including all of the areas of studies. Probably see Mr. Professor Glenn McClanahan's picture as well. Archaeology.
Oh, look at that. Let's see. Okay. Well, Sonia's having conflicting academic feelings because she doesn't like to break into places in school, but
It's for a good cause.
There's Glenn Mack's picture
there
as well.
there's some there he is. I was like, I recognize that one. There's could be more information that I'm not finding here with all of my researching time. There could be more in there. And I want to find out more before we go ghost hunting. Because ghost hunting is scary when you don't know what's coming.
Um, did did y'all remember your holy water guns?
I did.
I mean, I have it, but I don't think it has water in it anymore. I shot it once trying to be the Terminator at that zombie camp, and it didn't work very well.
We brought like a gallon with us on a
But
It's in Shep's truck, I think.
yeah.
So
So while we
it's
take a
safe to
break,
say that we refilled.
take a moment and ponder
hmm
maybe the Harry Potter movies. That what was the area of the library where you weren't supposed to go?
Oh boy,
I forget
it's
what the
been a
name of
minute.
it is.
I
But
don't
you can
remember.
liken this to that. You can imagine that if Sonia Alvarez is indeed a ritualist, I give you this for free because Glenn Mack just came out and said it. You can imagine that the magical protections of a special reserves area that is locked up tight as you did try to jiggle the doors. You can imagine that the magical protective auras and glyphs and spells could be formidable. And on that note, we'll take our second break.
hmm